The weird seaside beat-em-up kids puppet show Punch and Judy is reworked in this, well, weird seaside-set beat-em-up. Mirrah Wasikowska is Judy, long-suffering wife of Punch, an alcoholic puppeteer. They live in Seaside, a town not anywhere near the sea, and perform their shows for drunk locals, each performance getting punchier and punchier. A tragic sequence of events ends up with Judy left for dead, and she begins to plan her revenge. A first feature from Australian director Mirrah Foulkes, better known as an actor, Judy and Punch does a lot of clever stuff with its setting. Seaside, this odd town in the middle of nowhere, is an ideal place for a modern fairy tale. The costumes suggest Middle Ages, but there's no mentioned year or even other places, beyond Punch's yearning for the big smoke. As the film opens and the puppet show kicks off, the work of the puppeteers, the shouting audience, and the puppets themselves are scored with a poppy electro-classical tune, and throughout the film the soundtrack veers between that and this jaunty, juddering baroque harpsichord. The dialogue is similarly mannered. Judy asks Punch early on, "Must the show be so punchy and smashy?" There's also a welcome undercurrent of dark comedy that runs through the story. People wander around the village wishing each other a happy stoning day before killing some purported witches. The absurdity and dark comedy, the unsure setting, the over-the-top performances, especially from Punch, played by Damon Herriman, lend the film a potent sense of unreality that aids its adaptation of a loose source material. Here's Punch, Judy, the constable, the dog, and the baby, the sausages. There's violence and there's spectators for that violence, people who revel in it. All is well. But that's the first 30 minutes, so let's talk about the latter part of the film with, of course, a few spoilers. After Judy wakes up covered in blood, the film takes an altogether more conventional turn and recasts itself as a revenge thriller. Judy finds herself amongst outcasts, and the climax of the film revolves around them attacking Punch. Judy makes a big speech about difference and otherness that's very 21st century, and then the final shot of the film shows her with these outcast women in the grounds of her old home. There's plenty to talk about in the archetypes of Punch and Judy, but the decision to largely ditch the setup and take on a revenge plot means ditching a lot of what makes the first 30 minutes so compelling. The dark humour is gone, the commentary about spectating violence is gone, and the script becomes earnest and a little bold. Where lines previously had the vagueness and the metre of fairy tale lingo, now there are expository speeches, particularly in the outcast camp. The difficulty here, especially with Judy's final speech, is that in attempting to explicitly define her as a feminist heroine, the film begins to operate on a different, more modern logic than the fairy tale story that it's set up, and that makes it feel tacked on. Which it isn't, really, because Judy, as the film constructor, is clearly a feminist reworking of the character and is resituated at the centre of the story as the title implies. All that stuff is there in the story, and is much better served by being told through the substance of the plot than as a speech by its main character. But instead of allowing that to be subtext to a story, in the final moments of the film, Judy's self-identification becomes just plain old text, and coupled with a more conventional plot in the second half, that means the whole project comes across as less subversive than its early moments would have you believe. So, Judy and Punch, not a bad film, just with a wonky ending that doesn't quite live up to the energy and promise of its initial offering. If you're interested in literary fantasy, reimagined fairy tales and folk stories, and you can forgive a pretty conventional second half, then this will do it for you. And that's it from me, but if you've seen this movie, I'd love to have a chat about it with you in the comments down below. And one more thing, I was wondering, how many of you have seen a Punch and Judy show? I saw them a few times as a kid, but now it seems less common. Interested to know your thoughts on that. Have a good one. Bye for now.